And welcome in, everyone, to the Mad Nerds Podcast, Episode 6, Aftermath. This has been a big few weeks for the nerd world, but it's finally settled down. We don't have an insane amount of news to talk about, just our normal schedule of awesomeness from the comic book world. I am, of course, your host, Dave, Superhero Deuce, here with Mike.
Yes, Mike is the hat, like I say every time. Everywhere you can find me on the internet, Mike is the hat.
If you search Mike is the Hat, you're pretty bound to find him. If you search Superhero Deuce, you're pretty much bound to find me. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, it's going to be all over the interwebs. I'm going to finally start my Marvel YouTube series at some point, so definitely look out for that. Now that all the films have been announced, I can actually accurately project how I think they're going to happen. So, enough of that, enough of our wonderful introduction. On to what we always like to talk about first. Gotham. They had their new episode this week. It was incredible. Mike, what'd you think?
Gotham was probably the best episode of the series so far. So, we had the flashback stuff to young Harvey Bullock, even though he looked exactly the same. They didn't make him shave his beard or anything. He just looked exactly the same as he did.
Yep, he just didn't have a gray beard.
But, so you had him go back with his partner to a crime scene. What was it? The goat or whatever. The spirit of the goat.
The spirit of the goat, which is apparently Gotham means like city of goats or something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. But he's there. He's with his partner. They're trying to catch this guy. His partner gets thrown down the little thing there while they're trying to save the girl because he said the candles are still fresh. He hasn't killed her yet. Yada yada yada. We see the young Harvey Dent.
Harvey Bullock.
Or Harvey Bullock.
We will see Harvey Dent in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. We're working on that. Harvey Bullock. Then, we flash forward 10 years, and there's Bullock at another crime scene that's very similar to the one that we just saw. And he's waiting on Gordon, and Gordon and Barbara are having their little whatever it is that's going
gosh. On. Yeah.
And,
that was a really quick fight, you two.
Yeah, you're going to tell me everything. No, I'm not, because I can't unless you want to die. There you go.
Yeah, and then I'm going to get arrested, and yeah.
Oh, man. Bear with me here a little bit, too. I'm sick, so while I'm talking, if I start coughing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mike does not have Ebola. He will survive this. It's just a little cold.
Yeah, don't substitute teach for kids for a whole week. Filthy children.
On very little sleep, nonetheless. But anyways, back to Gotham, where there's plenty of filthiness happening.
Yeah, filthy city. But so they're investigating these murders, and they seem to think that they're kind of a copycat. It's a copycat killer, right? You see this all the time in like horror movies. I believe there's actually a horror movie entitled Copycat where some guy goes around killing people the exact same way that somebody did years before him and stuff like this. And this is why they don't divulge all these things in the news now, is to avoid stuff like this. So, he's like, well, they eventually go to do the autopsy thing. The Riddler's there drinking
wonderful Edward Nygma. Oh, boy. This is his episode, man. Him and Bullock.
He's there. They're getting the quips in. He's drinking out of his coffee mug.
Oh, God. Can we talk about that for a minute, please? Like, what on earth was that? Why was this a good idea to have? And it was so quick, too. It's like, and he's smiling as he's drinking out of it. I'm like, no, screw you, DC. This is a terrible idea.
The more that I see this, the guy that's playing Edward Nygma, the more I think of Johnny Depp in Charlie and the Chocolate, and Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, wherever they called that movie that was an abomination to the original. And then James Franco came to mind this episode. I don't know why, but he just reminded me of James Franco for whatever reason.
Yep, Edward Nygma was just weird this episode. He was hitting on that girl in the records department. He's incredibly OCD. I mean, here's the thing. He's shown that he can be intelligent. He's very serious sometimes, but he can also be very funny at times. Obviously, he's obsessed with riddles. He's good at figuring out puzzles. They did mention that, and he actually showed it. But that stupid question mark mug just ruined everything else. And he kind of felt forced, again, in this episode. It's like, why are we focusing so much on him when he's really not doing anything? Like, the whole OCD thing and him creeping on the girl in records, why? Give him something to do that's actually relevant.
Well, I love that. The thing that he had with the girl there. Because
it was funny. It was just unnecessary, I thought.
I think it's going to lead, if they build this the right way, that right there, his, weird relationship that he has with that woman, and if he eventually tries to like ask her out, I think is the thing that's going to wind up sending him over the edge into a supervillain.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's weird, but it could be.
But the way that he was just drinking out of the mug, it reminded me of those stupid Kermit memes that are going around right now too.
Just like Kermit.
So that was going on. He talked about the penny sewed into the back of the head thing. We just saw all this, how Harvey Bullock is similar to Jim Gordon stuff that I really liked. That was the biggest thing I took away from this episode was Bullock is the cop that he is now because when he was a young cop, he tried to be the hero and made mistakes, and now he doesn't want his new partner to do that.
Yeah, that was probably the strongest part of this episode for me, was Bullock. The fact that he's paying the bills for his former partner, who's now in a nursing home because of, what happened with that case. That's a huge emotional turn.
The dirty magazines.
Oh, gosh, yes. They're good magazines. That was pretty funny. But you know what? I like the emotion that was behind it. It showed that Bullock can do really good work. He tracked down the hypnotist. He figured out that she was the source. But him getting tackled seems to be kind of their stupid thing every week. Bullock getting tackled by somebody.
Yeah, Bullock is always getting beat up for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like, that guy beat him up this week, the GOAT. The whole dynamic with, like, the hypnotist thing was crazy, too. Like,
yeah, I didn't see that coming. I mean, I figured she was involved. I figured at some point the father was involved because he was doing something weird. But I figured the hypnotist was behind it at some point, too, because she was very cryptic.
Yeah, we got to see, like you said, Harvey Bullock do, like, actual detective work instead of, just going and doing whatever it was that he was doing with, like, the seedy underbelly of, like, Gotham, where people were feeding him intelligence. He was going through, reading files, looking things up, and then he picked up on the thing with the hand thing. After he saw the guy freak out, the janitor freak out.
Yeah, you know what? I like that. I really liked Bullock in this episode once again, and the GOAT was really interesting. I thought it was a great Halloween episode because it was pretty creepy, but not overly weird. Like, I think that there comes a point where you kind of have to draw the line if you're on TV at a certain hour, and they are, of course. So that was good. One thing that I didn't like was that Jim Gordon told, I think it was Barbara, the city needs something other than a cop. And I'm just like, could you stop with the Batman hints? Like, seriously, we get it. This is Gotham City. You have Bruce Wayne in episodes. I get it, okay? The city needs Batman. I get it.
Yeah, the kid, like, it's always building towards something, obviously, because, like, we've continuously established this is, like, an origin story for pretty much everything that's going on. But it does get very tedious and stuff where they're continuously, like, poking the bear.
Yeah. Like saying, hey, Batman comes. Do you guys know that Batman comes? Yeah, we get it, okay?
But
a couple other things that I liked is that Bruce Wayne, like all these other high-end celebrities and their firstborns were like leaving town, and Bruce Wayne's like, whatever. Like, it made for a nice small scene between him and Alfred when Alfred's like, hey, do you want to get out of town, for a few days and stuff? And Bruce is like, nah, I'm not scared of this guy. I'm like, that's awesome.
Well, I thought that was like a really emotional scene too because he said like, I have nobody to like that loves me like that, and
yeah,
you kind of looked at Alfred's face, and he was like devastated that he said that because Alfred cares.
Bruce is clearly still mourning, and then kind of one thing I didn't like, involving Wayne Manor was Selena Kyle breaking in. I couldn't tell what she stole. It was very difficult to see what exactly she stole from Bruce Wayne. I'm sure it'll come back hopefully in the next episode. Please, in the next episode, don't leave us hanging. And that was just a weird scene, like to throw in there. I feel like they could have not had that, as well as one other scene that I really didn't like, Mike, and I kind of want your opinion. If they didn't have the Penguin in this episode, I think it would have been totally fine. They had this weird scene with him and his mother. I feel like they just insisted on throwing him in so that like he doesn't just appear at the end and we're like, where'd he come from? We figured out, okay? Like, but it was just weird. Like the bath scene was just weird as heck. Like I can't. It was weird.
It was definitely out there, but I think it was kind of necessary to show like how screwed up in the head he is because of his relationship with his mother.
Okay, I can buy that.
You have to eventually figure out why he's so twisted, and you could see that because his mother is so overprotective of him, he's trying to establish himself on his own.
I wouldn't be surprised if he murders her at some point. I just see that coming. Like, I know he loves her to death, but I would not be shocked if when he completely, like, goes out of it, that he's just going to murder his mom.
That'd be nuts. But that scene pretty much leads us to the ending of the show.
Which was great.
Where they find out, obviously Cobblepot is alive and in Gotham.
Bullock and Gordon have been arrested for murder and conspiracy to commit murder. And then all of a sudden, in walks Oswald Cobblepot.
So Cobblepot walked in. Bullock is upset that he's not getting arrested for the murder of Cobblepot, as well as he's been upset that Jim has been lying to him all the time, that he actually did off Cobblepot in the pilot episode.
Oh yeah, this was amazing. Like it just goes to show that Bullock knows he was probably going to find a way out of it because of his connections. Like, because he was saying, you know what, Jim, it's not true, you didn't kill him. Like, just thinking that Gordon's saying he didn't, and Gordon's trying to confess, I really didn't kill him, I swear. And then, he walks in, and he's like, you son of a, and he's like, I'm mad that I'm not going to have to go to jail now, and that, the MCU looks like a bunch of jerks, and it just, really nice scene. I will say there's only one thing I didn't like. I feel like it came really early in the season. I'm like, where do you go from here? Like, that just blew everything open. That's a really early time to pull this card out, but I liked it. Nonetheless, I really liked it.
I think Bullock was also upset, too, because he realizes that he is an accomplice to Gordon not doing that, and he's going to catch the wrath from Falcone and all those guys, too. Not just Gordon. Bullock's going to be trapped underneath all of that as well.
Yep, at some point, Harvey's going to have to pick a side. And so, Mike, we have the next few episode titles. Do you want to read those off?
Yeah, so we have the episode titles. Well, let's talk about the little preview for next week. So it looks like we're going to get Victor Zsasz next week.
Oh, yes, definitely. We're going to get Victor Zsasz. And I believe it's Falcone that hired him, correct?
Yeah, you see in the preview for the next episode that he's like, I'll send Victor. And then we get that whole thing where Zsasz is standing up on the desk inside the Gotham Police Department and all that good stuff. But Zsasz is definitely a serial killer. If you don't know who he is, that's what he does. He's a serial killer. He has all the tick marks on his body for everybody that he's killed. It's nice to see that he started out as a hired gun. So we'll get a little bit of his backstory in this episode, hopefully, which is entitled The Penguin's Umbrella. Episode 8 is entitled The Mask, which would be on November 10th. Episode 9 is entitled Harvey Dent.
There you go. There's Two-Face.
And then episode 10 is Lovecraft, which is weird, which I don't know what it means.
I have a theory that I think that's going to be about the Riddler and Kristen Kringle. I'm just throwing it out there. And it's probably going to have something to do with Gordon and Barbara Keene and maybe Selina Kyle and Batman.
I really think they should hold off on anything that they do with that Kringle girl until right around Christmas.
That would be too perfect, Mike. I mean, you know what? I think you just called it. I think you just completely made an amazing pick because that would be right up this show's alley to do something like that.
But let's get into what the ratings were. So, Spirit of the Goat, episode 6 of Gotham, got a 2.2 of 7 on the ratings there for the 18 to 49 demographic. 5.89 million viewers. So the numbers are right around the same as they've been for the last 4 weeks, which is good for the show.
Yes, very good. It's established an audience.
They got the DVR numbers in for weeks 2 and 3. So week 2, the Selina Kyle episode got a 1.9 on the DVR with 4.33 million viewers, and week 3, the Balloon Man episode got a 2.0 on the DVR, 4.5 million viewers.
Yeah, it's solid. Very good DVR numbers for Gotham. So, Mike, what would you give this episode rating?
I'm giving this episode an 8.5, which is the highest I've given any of the episodes so far, because I just enjoyed the whole the Bullock backstory, the way it tied in with what was happening, in the 10 years later, our current Gotham, as well as getting to see why Bullock is the way he is, the weird Penguin stuff, Riddler being there, doing his thing, and then just overall the ending, the cliffhanger, I think is good for next week, and I'm excited to see Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this episode. I'm going to give it a solid 7 because, like I said, I still think it has a lot of problems. It likes to be super serious and then super humorous, and it feels like it has still like a weird balance in tone. So I liked the episode, for all the same reasons you mentioned as well. The Riddler Cup thing is it's overkill. Like, come on. So I'm giving it a solid 7. I think it's fair. I think it has a lot of room to improve, but it was also a good episode.
Yeah, so that brings us into the other comic book show. Now we're in Tuesday night. Your show, the Marvel show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which for whatever reason seems to be taking this week off.
Marvel 75th anniversary, that is why.
Okay.
They are doing a whole hour special on the Marvel 75th anniversary of the comic brand, which is going to be awesome, showing how they built up and got to where they are today.
So we'll be bringing you guys that next week.
Yes, and definitely watch that. Definitely watch that.
In place of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. review. So we had a fractured house, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What happened, David?
A lot, of course, as S.H.I.E.L.D. has continued to move forward with Hydra, being a threat to them. Of course, Mockingbird's cover was blown last episode, so was Simmons. There's just a lot that happened. I mean, I'll only probably touch on a couple major points as far as universe building goes, and different things that I liked. I liked the dynamic between Mockingbird and, her Hunter, I believe is what they're calling him, Lance Hunter, because he is so hilarious on the show, and she's really funny. Of course, Adrienne Palicki's a great actress. She finally got the blonde hair back, for anybody who's complaining about that. So she was really good. They had some good action scenes. Of course, at this point, Hydra is impersonating S.H.I.E.L.D. They invade the UN and they start killing people with these new weapons they have, based on tech from Asia, where essentially it's like a disc, and if it hits you, you vaporize and are just dead on the spot, and they can't even give you a proper burial.
That sounds absolutely amazing, and they should incorporate that into every video game ever.
Yes, it was actually amazing effects too, that would be worthy of video games. And so, General Glenn Talbot was there, of course, because he's involved in higher up things with the military, and he kind of figured out, it's like, okay, this isn't S.H.I.E.L.D. The big twist was we have Ward's brother in this episode. Of course, Agent Ward is in Coulson's basement just hanging out because he's a traitor and a son of a gun. And so we see that Ward, Senator Ward is very much against S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's trying to propose a law that would say when we find out where a S.H.I.E.L.D. base is, we can walk in and shoot anybody without any repercussions. So Coulson didn't like that, so he goes and visits Senator Ward, and Senator Ward tells him, hey, my brother lies about everything. You just need to be aware of that. It was a really nice scene the way that they did that. Definitely check it out where Sky's talking to, Agent Ward and Coulson's talking to Senator Ward, and you're like, oh gosh, Sky's going to do something stupid. And then she didn't, thankfully, but because it made it look like it was at the same time, but it really wasn't. And so one important thing about this was you had, of course, Senator Ward decides not to do that because we find out that one of his compatriots who was in Belgium, who was on the UN committee, is actually working for Hydra. And so that was huge because all these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that had been keeping him at their safe house were just killed immediately. So we send in Agent May, we send in Mockingbird, we send in Agent Hunter, who walks in, he's like, hey, hail Hydra, who wants a drink? Kind of impersonating a Hydra agent. I was laughing, I was dying, it was amazing. A really good action scene where the Hydra guy is kind of being Scorpion. He had a thing where he was trying to throw a knife and try to hit Agent May with it. Amazing scene. Definitely check that one out. But of course the big reveal was that Ward gets away. And he had been kind of working on his hands and stuff to get up so that when he did have a chance to escape, he could. So he kind of breaks his thumb a little bit, sort of, gets out of the cuffs and shoots everybody in the van. And so, of course, now Agent Ward is loose. Here we go. Big stuff going on there. The alien stuff is continuing to be moved along. There's been some theories that the obelisk is an Inhuman object. Of course, nobody thought that until the Inhumans movie was announced. I still think it's Kree. I don't think that they're going to start revealing stuff from Inhumans yet. And that's just my prevailing theory. So another great episode out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm looking forward to the Marvel 75th anniversary.
Yeah, it's way too early to be revealing stuff for Inhumans. That's 4 years away.
Yeah, I don't think it's an Inhuman thing. Could it be an Infinity Stone? Maybe. That'd be a really big way to make the TV show relevant, is have an Infinity Stone in it, but I don't know if it is. I'm not going to go that far yet. I think it's an object of Kree origin, because I think that's where they're going to go with Agent Carter.
Yeah, so all around, what do you think Well, I shouldn't say what do you think. Obviously, it's what you think. You're telling me. What score do you give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for this week?
I'm going to give it a solid 8. The action was great. The story moved forward. But there was also, some points that didn't make so much sense. Like, why did Glenn Talbot just all of a sudden start trusting S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end? Like, I don't get that. It felt like a really quick turn, even for him, for somebody who hates S.H.I.E.L.D. that bad. And even though he realized, okay, these are S.H.I.E.L.D. imposters that just killed all these people, it just seemed a little off. And there was a couple other things that I felt like could have been better, but they left some good questions. So I'm going to give it a solid 8. And one other thing we do need to discuss that happened during this episode that I'm going to give a solid 17,000 was the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer that was supposed to debut during this episode. Instead, they changed it up a little bit from what obviously is leaked onto the internet. They added a scene that we had heard about from Comic-Con, which was a party scene at Avengers Tower, which is awesome, where you have Hawkeye, Black Widow, Agent Maria Hill, Thor, the Hulk, aka Bruce Banner. You had Rhodes, War Machine, Tony Stark, of course, and just everybody's there. And then there was some mysterious woman who they didn't show that I'm now 99.9% sure is the Asian actress who helps Tony Stark build Ultron. So anyways, they're all trying to lift the hammer. Like, you've probably read the description by now. A really funny scene where Thor's like, "You are all not worthy," and just it shows the Avengers having fun, which I like that. It's like, we never get to see them outside of their hero costumes when they're together. This was a really fun scene. And then Ultron walks in and says, "Well, how could you be worthy?" And of course, the line actually is, "You're all killers, not you're all puppets." They changed that for the trailer, but it's "You're all killers," and you want to protect the world. You don't want it to change. They didn't say that in the trailer either, but we know it from the internet one. So it was just a really fun reveal. They showed Black Widow uncovering the Loki staff, which we saw. So once again, Marvel found a way to. I predicted it, and everybody kind of predicted it, that they'd put something extra in for the people who did watch the show. This was a nice scene. It didn't really give anything away in the plot. It was just kind of fun.
Yeah, so the viewership was up this week for this show based on the numbers that I found. Not by a lot, but it was increased. Instead of it got a 1.6 last week, it got a 1.7 this week. It had 4.36 million viewers. It was up to 4.44 million. So that trailer boosted up the viewership a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how it would have boosted it up had it not leaked online. But, we know this show has huge DVR numbers coming in. Like, you take Gotham's and double it, and that's what S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been getting on the DVR, just because people, for whatever reason, I don't know, want to DVR the show. So, but a good reveal. Marvel's continuing to do big things. They definitely know how to do a teaser, so I'm just really excited for Ultron. I can't wait to go see this thing in theaters when it comes out.
Yeah, they're doing big things over there at Marvel. That looked amazing. And I love the little, the jokey parts in the Avengers movie. You had the shawarma in the first one. If they keep that, if that's in the movie with Thor's hammer, that's gonna be fun until Ultron comes and ruins it all.
Yeah, until no fun is had anymore after Ultron. Ultron is the end of fun.
Yeah, he is the end of everything almost, as we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, he's not Funtron, he's Ultron. So you have that, and once again, just good job, Marvel. I appreciate it. As a Marvel fanboy, I like it.
Yeah, I love everything that we keep saying it. It's the trend for the last 6 weeks. It's a good time to be into comic books and these nerdy superhero things.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a big week in comics for you, Mike. Kind of just transitioning, talking about comics. Mike, what'd you read this week?
Yeah, so I caught up. I've been behind for a few weeks with Future's End, so I caught up the last 4 issues. Of Future's End. Issue 21, we had the big reveal that Green Arrow was alive, and Brainiac is behind everything that's been going on, kinda, with the crazy satellites and stuff. So now we had Superman and John Constantine in Africa just kind of hanging out, while Constantine tells Superman that Brainiac is coming, and you haven't been fighting the real Brainiac because the real Brainiac is pretty much a god, but he's scared of you, Superman. So we had that. We had this whole continuing ongoing thing with Firestorm, the two guys that are Firestorm kind of bickering at each other. It's just nuts. We have Stormwatch trying to get out of there, Frankenstein, there's Brainiac robots fighting all over the place. Batman shows up in the last few pages of issue 26, which is the most recent issue, and he basically tells the guys that are Firestorm to stop being, little whiny girls and settle your differences because we need your help. There's stuff going down. We need you. And they're like, well, what do you mean? We killed Green Arrow. He's like, Green Arrow ain't dead. Figure it out. Let's go.
Yeah. Move on, ladies. Move on.
Yeah. So that's big. I'm excited. I now have Deathstroke #1 and the first 3 issues of the new Suicide Squad that I still have to read, as well as Future's End, the ongoing DC comics so far. Yeah, it was weird because inside of Future's End, there's like the 3-issue like little Brainiac story arc in a story. So you had like a little event inside of an event. It was nuts.
Huh, interesting.
So,
DC just getting all meta.
Yeah. I mean, there's talk of multiverses and all that. Of course, we know that DC has all that multiverse stuff. They flaunt it way more than Marvel does.
Yeah, Marvel has a universe with alternate realities, but
yeah.
I mean, they have multiverses too, and they're just now kind of tapping into that with Spider-Man, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. What is going on though? Spider-Verse is the continuing ongoing event, or one of the ongoing events in Marvel Comics. What else is happening over there?
Right, Spider-Verse is kind of on its low right now. I'm pretty sure they're about to debut something huge though with Spider-Verse, because it is getting into November. And it's the first of the month, so expect a lot of your big titles. The new Moon Knight one comes out this week, and I'm excited for that because I freaking love Moon Knight. He's Batman who kills. Just end of story. But the big event going on, of course, is Axis. You had your tie-ins. A few of them come out this week. I believe Carnage had a tie-in this week that was pretty good from what I hear. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. You had Axis Revolutions #1, so definitely check that one out as well. And the Logan Legacy continues. In the Death of Wolverine, Logan Legacy #3 is out. Go pick that one up. It's been pretty entertaining from what I hear. You get a lot of people who are tied to Wolverine, like Daken and Sabretooth and Kitty Pryde and Lady Deathstrike, and tons of fun from what I understand. So definitely go and check that one out too. I haven't had a chance to read them. This is kind of a busy week for me with a lot of stuff going on. But definitely check those out as Marvel continues their events. Of course, there's all kinds of good stuff. The Punisher, I heard, just had a recent awesome issue as well in his solo series. So I encourage you to go pick that up as well. And just continue to follow the Axis event, because that is starting to look more and more like the event that's going to reshape the Marvel Universe yet again, even more than the Original Sin event did, which, speaking of Original Sin, the Winter Soldier solo book just came out, as he is kind of in space fighting off people now. So, of course, Winter Soldier's now getting a push after his movie was amazing. So go and check that out. Good stuff going on in Marvel. I mean, the thing with Marvel and DC is, you guys are probably going to know, there's not always going to be an amazing set of comics every week. So I say this was probably one of Marvel's dry weeks. You had all new X-Men issue. You had a new Nova issue. But other than that, it was a fairly underwhelming week. So don't be surprised next week, though, when everything picks up at the beginning of the month. Oh, Inhuman #7. That one was good. But other than that, kind of just a mediocre week for Marvel.
Yeah, get ready for next week. Even from DC, there's a lot of looking at what's coming down the pipeline. There's some anniversary issues that are coming out. So that's really going to be the week if you're into comic books to start picking stuff up again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, kind of with that, this is a shorter show because, of course, we had the big news this week. We already talked about it. If you haven't seen it, find our podcast on the Marvel, Phase 3 film reveals. Just to kind of go down the list real quick, there were some things that were confirmed. I watched the press conference, or it's not even a press conference. It was a fan event is what it ultimately came down to. And some stuff that Kevin Feige confirmed at that, just to really wrap it up, was there are definitely Easter eggs in the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer that he said will tell you that Black Panther exists. And what we've seen is, obviously, Andy Serkis is going to be Ulysses Klaue, but also a really early shot in the trailer that leaked on the internet, and then they ultimately released, was Ultron dipping himself in liquid vibranium to coat himself in vibranium. That has been confirmed as one of the Easter eggs that Kevin Feige was talking about, so definitely look out for that. Scott Derrickson is directing Doctor Strange, and the early indications are that it's going to be definitely along the lines of some of Derrickson's other films. He is known for horror and scary films. He did The Exorcism of Emily Rose, I believe, things along that line. He has a lot of work in that territory. Perfect for Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange is going to be weird. And just some other cool things that he confirmed as well. were that Hulk is going to probably appear in more than just Avengers films, but not have his own film. Same thing with Black Widow. So we didn't really learn a whole lot, other than that the next thing you'll probably hear as far as announcements will be casting for Doctor Strange, which is not confirmed to be Benedict Cumberbatch. We don't know that yet. And possibly director and writer news on Captain Marvel's movie, which will be Carol Danvers. So just kind of putting the bow on everything that Marvel did for the last 5 days. It's kind of settled down. But I just wanted to give you an update on that before we get into our rants of the week.
Yeah, so rants of the week.
Mike, what do you got?
I foreshadowed it last week. So if you've watched my Twitch channel at all, or you've seen any other streamers, like a hardcore streamer's Twitch channel, you see that they have a little donation button. Most of them do. So I figured, you know what, if I'm going to try and do this legit and become better at Twitch and all this stuff, I'll put a donation button up there. So a friend of mine donated some money. He donated $1 just to see how it worked, kind of help me out, see, you know, if this works and when the alerts or whatever. So I'm doing it through PayPal and this other website, imraising.com. So I go in, I connect my bank account to PayPal for all this stuff to make sure that, you know, the money transfers quickly, and regardless, it's all set up the way that it's supposed to be set up, that PayPal tells you they won't take fees out. Well, my friend donates me this $1. I accept the donation. Magically, my $1 turns into 67 cents because PayPal decided that they need to take 33% of my $1.
Wow.
What? I'm gonna start asking other like legit streamers that have huge numbers of followers and stuff, like what service they use for to get donations, because like what am I gonna do? Like if everybody donated $1, I'm gonna get, I can't even use it. Like the amount of money will physically not go from my PayPal wallet to my bank account because it's too small.
Yeah, ugly time. Wow.
What are you doing?
Thank you, government, for that.
PayPal. Come on, bro. Like 33%? Really? Really? Come on now.
That's a massive number. All right. Well, my rant is a little bit different this week. I've talked about this before, but it really came to a head this week about who won. Did Marvel win? You know, DC fans are saying, we're underwhelmed by Marvel. You know, they're just doing it because DC did it, like, because Warner Brothers did it. Here's the thing. If you keep doing this, you're going to scare the average fan away from the movies. Don't go and rip on characters that you just simply don't like. You want the mainstream fan to go to these movies. Okay, so I'm not going to go out there and like rip on Batman versus Superman because it's not even out yet. Like, it's not even close to being out. And I'm not going to go and rip on, you know, The Flash just because I don't know who the actor is. Like, seriously, the thing is, if the internet sees that there's a bunch of fanboy wars going on, they're not going to want to go see this film. So, like, seriously, am I a part of that? Like, because I like the films? Let them like both. Seriously, root for the other one to succeed. There was a great article on Forbes about this that's like, you look like idiots. If you are out there arguing about, well, Marvel wins over DC, you need to both win, okay? Honestly, if you want more of these films, root for the other one to do well. As a matter of fact, go see your competitors' films, because if these keep flopping, you won't even get the ones that you do like. Like, this is business here, okay? Like, this goes beyond fanboy wars. This goes beyond nerddom. This is business. The reason Marvel is succeeding is because they got the average fan to buy into what they are selling. DC is working on that because, of course, they had this successful Batman franchise. Now they need to realize that that's not the key to everything. They don't need to do it Nolan style. And they're starting to get to that, okay? So here's the thing. Don't start rooting against the other one. Don't start making videos about this movie sucks, because then people may not see it, and then you're not going to get your next film. That's how this is going to work. So let me just put it to you this way. Go see the film, and if you don't like it, give it an honest review that you just don't like the film. But don't say you didn't like it just because Marvel or DC produced it. Because seriously, did I like Man of Steel? No, I didn't. Like, I finally did see it, and I'm not a fan. It's too dark for me. I thought Superman was going to make me feel happy after I watched the film, and it didn't. I felt kind of depressed. It was just an odd film. But in the same way, there are Marvel films that I didn't really like. I thought Thor: The Dark World was weak, but it did a good job of universe building. So I will be honest in my critiques. That's how you have to look at this, is If I want more films, I need Fox to succeed, I need Sony to succeed, I need Warner Brothers to succeed, and I need Marvel Studios to succeed. And I need to go and see these movies. And I need to help educate people on the backstory, because maybe they like them. And that's okay. Let it be. Don't go out and say, I don't give a crap that Marvel just... Yes, you should. You should care that Marvel has a good plan that they can play out and make a variety of good movies. That's what this is ultimately about. This is about the survival of your genre. Because if you get into a situation where, like, Batman and Robin and other bad super... and, like, Blade Trinity and movies like along that quality start coming out, we're in trouble. Do good, go to these films so they can make better films and continue to be successful. Because seriously, you don't want the other franchise to not succeed, because then yours isn't going to succeed. Just think about that the next time you start posting hate stuff all over the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys want Val Kilmer and George Clooney to be Batman again? Now,
Nope.
Blade Trinity I actually kind of liked, because I was all about Blade, but like the fact that people want to play the fanboy card, like I'm a DC guy, I'm a Marvel guy, like you said, it's only going to hurt the industry, the comic book movie industry as a whole, if people are firing shots at each other about who does what and this and that. I mean, you see it in the gaming industry all the time too, with the Xbox and PlayStation people. It only hurts the industry as a whole when these big flame wars go on internet boards or on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, and then ultimately get onto the news and stuff and people read them. Like, you don't want that.
It's just going to hurt it. We keep saying it's a good time to be a fan of this stuff, and you should be going to see these movies. If they're characters that you like, go see it. If it's a character you don't like, then you don't have to see that one. But don't go to YouTube or your blog or whatever and just crap all over it because you're like, well, I don't think this guy should do this. Like, we're trying to be the most positive comic book show out there. Like, I'm not a big fan of some of the things that DC does. I'm not a big fan of some of the things that Marvel does. I'm sure David's the same way.
But yeah, welcome to comics.
Exactly. We're not going to come on here and just be like, Now, when things are stupid and over-the-top punny, like sometimes they are in Gotham, we're going to say it. But it's not like we're going to just try and ruin everything for everybody. Like, there's no point in that. That's what makes people get these bad, ideas about comic book fans and stuff like that. Or you look like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, where you're like...
Yeah, or worse, because then you'd be angry Sheldon.
You're like the elitist nerd guy, and it's not a good look for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Don't fulfill every stereotype that the world may already have of you. Turn that around. Be a decent person. And if somebody says something that's like uninformed or not smart, let it go. They don't know as much as you. They're probably talking to you about it so they can learn something. Like, just honestly, get rid of the fanboy wars. If you want to start having the fanboy wars about comics and the stuff that you're actually into, then fine. Have them with other people who do that. But the movies are for mainstream. Get over it. It's a different universe. It's a different ballgame, and we need it to succeed. Because it's good. It's fun. It's really fun. Let's keep this up. We haven't had a bad superhero film. Like, even The Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't that bad. Like, when's the last time one bombed? It's been a while. So let's keep it that way. Keep feeding the success. Let's get more Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's get more Batman 89 style movies that are good and unique and awesome. Let's follow it along. Let's stop crapping on each other, and let's just enjoy this time. We got a lot of great films coming out soon. Let's just enjoy it. I believe there's another Lord of the Rings coming out soon or something. And, you got Hunger Games. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the nerddom. Let's have some fun.
Yep. And with that, I think that's a good way to end the show.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes, have some fun, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this abbreviated episode of the Mad Nerds Podcast. We always appreciate you. Like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Mad Nerds, AZNV, and on our individual channels. Mike is the Hat, all over the internet.
Yes, Mike is the Hat all over the internet. Look for, if you're coming to watch me on Twitch, look for FIFA, NBA 2K. We're going to start doing some Minecraft. Call of Duty comes out this week. We got Destiny. There's all that stuff. Just get ready for it all.
Yeah, definitely find Mike is the Hat on Twitch, especially if he's homesick. He's going to be gaming a lot. So then, of course, I'm Superhero Deuce on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Check out my stuff. I'm going to start making those Marvel videos maybe this week. It just depends. I got a couple things I got to take care of first. And if those come through, I will announce those on the show. But once again, thank you for joining us. We love you guys. Hello, NSA guy. We are out. God bless.